Bit of a mash-up there. That's called The Brits Are Playing at My House. No reference to Martin McGuinness, of course. That's the Beatles, plus the LCD sound system. And, of course, you'll have noticed the Kinks. People are kind of two minds about these mashups, which I enjoy, actually. Here's a few different points of view. Manny says, I'm loving the mashups, but more so, I'm loving the experiment, intended or not, with the good people of whatever Northern Ireland is meant to be. I can never work it out. Our entity? We don't know what our entity is. We suffer from entity a violation. Not only is it apparent, but you have also stated that complaints about the mashups and other music only serve to make you play them more. You see, this is one of the faults that I perceive myself to have. The more people complain about something, the more I do it. It's like a child at home, spoiled, and says a little bad word. Mummy, mummy, mummy. Stop that. It'll keep going, mummy, 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 mummy. I'm like that. I've never actually progressed from that. Was it not Albert Einstein who said something like, madness is repeating the same mistake and expecting the different outcome? I always say that to people who get married twice. Any chance of Don't Give Up by Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush in the light of the times that we were in? It could well be a nominee for our national anthem. Yes, indeed. Right, another gentleman says, morning Cave Hill Mountain Nose and your ignoble sidekick, Gromit Coyle. Mr. Coyle is not here today. He'll be here on Monday. The first mashup on today's show of Pink Floyd's The Wall and Nancy Sinatra was unreal. I thought it was unacceptable. Pierre, my dead cat, rattled his dead bones across the floor to the thumping bass riff and shook his foreboots to the sultry sounds of Frank Sinatra. Or should that be Tina? That was fab. He meowed as he lay exhausted against the pantry window. Keep playing stuff like that, master, and I might even put a new tea bag in the pot tonight to celebrate. It's been 4 years since I changed the last one. Anyway, sire, you're sounding in fine fettle. Is there any aspirations for running for president? Well, everybody else in Derry is. I don't see why I should be singled out as being a non-runner. I'm checking through my family tree to see if I have any family in Derry to allow me to run. Yeah, we're queuing up here. You have to get a job somewhere. You know, this isn't going to last forever. They'll catch me on eventually. Right, Alistair Hagan says, why is your podcast offline? I can't download any episodes and iTunes thinks you've never existed, Alistair. Well, we don't have a podcast on at the moment. Our podcast will be starting again next Monday for reasons which are very difficult to understand, and I wouldn't even begin to go into them. I've been hearing this song played on your show, said a man. It's not a man, it's Kathy from Coleraine. Another play on Wednesday would be great, please, thanks. I've scoured the internet looking for somewhere to get it, at this stage legally or otherwise. Where can you find a copy of it? Well, I can find you another copy. You're referring to a song called Little Honda 50. There's been some controversy on this programme. Christy Moore has recorded that, and it's on his new album, Folktale, which is not going to be released until the 28th of October, which, coincidentally, is my birthday. I don't want any gifts, just money. My 20th of October, it's true, you can't get it until then. But another gentleman called Seamus Moore has recorded a completely different version of it, which Hugo favours, and it is horrible. You can get that. Hugo plays it all the time. This is Christy Moore. I'm not saying Hugo is horrible. Well, maybe I am. I don't know.
My little Honda 50, she's rapid and she's nifty. She'll do 150 on a windy day. My little Honda 50, hit the nitro and she'll shift me, get me away from the Garda any day. I got her in the buy and sell back in 92. A travelling man in a caravan says this is the big for you. He was looking for 100, I gave him 32. Took over a spin out the Kinnegad Road and begodgy feckin' flew. Oh, my little Honda 50, she's rapid and she's nifty. She'll do 150 on a windy day. My little Honda 50, hit the nitro and she'll shift me, get me away from the Garda any day. I drove her into Newbridge, looking for a couple of parts. Alloy wheels and a sat-nav and a new push-button start. Heading out to Robertstown for the bingo and a beer. Coming down the hill of Allen, she hit the ton in second gear. I was riding across the Curragh, nice and slow. The guards pulled in behind me, Sergeant Kelly, don't you know? I said, oh, Buck, just me luck, I hit the nitro hard. By the time the squad hit Brockett's Cross, I had her parked in Brady's yard. Oh, my little Honda 50, she's rapid and she's nifty. She'll do 150 on a windy day. My little Honda 50, hit the nitro and she'll shift me. She'll get me away from the garden any day.
Christy Muir, of course, that's Little Honda 50 from his forthcoming album, which is called Folktale, which will not be released until the 28th of October that I was mentioning. A gentleman writes to me, another gentleman called Susie, just dropping you, I'll try that again. Just dropping to you mail to let you know about a charity barbecue and barn dance taking place this weekend, Saturday the 24th of September, in Randallstown, organised by two local people, Linda Miller and her husband Colin, as well as their friends from Young Farmers. The party will happen in Colin's new workshop. They are making the most of the free space before all the equipment is moved. They've already sold 500 tickets and hope to sell another 200, so it's going to be a huge event. And the lucky beneficiary is the Ulster Cancer Foundation, so all funds raised at the event will go back into helping support cancer patients and their families here in Northern Ireland. So there we are. There'll be yummy steaks and salads, a live band, DJ, plenty of dancing, and a pig race will take place. So there we are. So there you can go along to that 24th of September in Randallstown. And of course, I was mentioning before, and I haven't talked about it for a while now, I'm running the New York Marathon on November the 6th. Although I have to be honest, my training has taken a severe dent. I haven't done anything for about a month because I haven't been well. And I've been advised not to do anything. So I'm coming round a bit, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this or not. But I'm certainly going, I'm certainly doing it, but I may not be in the peak of physical condition that I expected. And we're going to have a special concert, and the date for that has been announced. I'll tell you a little bit more about that, and I'm pleased to say that Charlie Lansbury is going to do it for us. And we're going to have a night called Charlie Lansbury and Friends, which will be on November, after the marathon actually, a fundraiser for Action Cancer. It'll be on Sunday, November the 20th. And I'll give you details about that in the next few days and all kinds of stuff. We want you to come up and see us here in Derry, Londonderry, because that is where the concert is going to be. So come up and see us and have a bit of crack, have a look around our wonderful city and look at all the places where I was born. Henry McCullough is on the line. Always a pleasure to talk to Henry. Good morning, Henry.
Hi, Gerry. Good morning to you as well.
How are you? Are you busy these days?
I've been very busy, actually. Yeah, I was over in America doing the Beatles convention, would you believe?
For God's sake.
And
well, whereabouts did you do that?
in Chicago.
Well, of course, you've got a... But you see,
my first trip to do something like that, you know.
A Beatles convention? Well, you see, obviously you've got that link, of course, but I mean, do they regard you as being a kind of a traitor? Because you were in the first band after the Beatles broke up. You were in Beatles Mark II.
That's right. No, in fact, it's quite the opposite. I didn't realise, you know, what a religion the Beatles are in America. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I hadn't come across anything like it, and they're all... And Mr. Mike Tyson was there.
Oh, for God's sake.
And we were introduced, and we talked about pigeons, because he has pigeons as well, you know.
So you're in Chicago talking to Mike Tyson about pigeons. You never thought possibly a month or two ago that you'd be doing that?
Not at all. No, he came out of the lift, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, oh, shit.
Just buy it.
And we shook hands, and he says, how you doing? I says, grand. And he says, you're doing the festival? I says, aye. And then we met him another day, and we spoke to him about his birds and stuff. The loveliest guy.
But he's women?
Gerry,
But he's women? But he's women? He's got a tattoo.
Yeah,
I saw him on TV the other day.
You know.
He's got a big tattoo on half of his face.
That's right. But funny, when you meet him, you don't see it, you know. And I was sort of looking out of the corner of my eye to see if I could catch it in full flow or full glow, rather.
It's very visible on television.
But it's not like that at all, you know. It's sort of, I guess if you were looking for it, you'd see it, you know.
Well, those people who went to that convention, they must regard you as some kind of a god. Because when Paul McCartney left the Beatles, the first band he had, you were the guy who was going to be his guitar player. So as far as you're concerned, those people probably regard you in the same level as, like, better than George Harrison.
Well,
how did they treat you?
They treated us exceptionally well, you know, and the audience were brilliant. But for the first time in my life, I got a standing ovation for one note.
What note was that? A B flat, eh?
No, it was an F.
Well, how did this note come to be played?
Just
one note. How did you manage that?
Well, it's the first note in My Love. And they take that as gospel over there, you know. I honestly couldn't believe it. They were so nice, but like I say, it's gone past fan club time. It's almost like a religion, you know. I was just gobsmacked, to be honest with you.
Well, you see, that solo, we talked about this before, that solo you did in My Love, Paul McCartney's Wings, is legendary. And that has passed into kind of, well, it's just, I mean, just as soon as you played the first note, they went crazy, did they?
They did.
Well, you see, that's far better than that happens to like me. No matter what I do, everybody just sits and looks at me. Well, listen.
It was great. There was other guests there. A guy, Hudson, from the Hudson Brothers. He was Ringo's producer for 10 years and stuff, you know. So that's the sort of people that were there. And if you had any merchandise, you know, that came in handy as well, you know.
Do you think
I didn't have very much. I had a few CDs and a couple of photographs and stuff.
Yeah. Do you think we're in danger, Henry, of becoming old fogies?
There's no way, Gerry. No, I mean I'm that anyway, you know. But I've passed the point of no return, you know.
Well, listen, you're doing some gigs coming up soon. Would you tell us about them? Where you're going to be?
Well, the only gig we have on, after that we went to Norway and then back to do a gig at the island, at the Aran Islands, which was incredible.
Really?
And so we're doing the one at the Riverside on Friday, and then the following week I go off to Scotland for 5 dates and stuff, and then we go off to Poland as well. So it's been, you know, since about August, it's been fairly non-stop, you know.
All right, so that's the Riverside in Coleraine. That's this Friday?
That's this Friday coming.
This Friday,
and we have a young guitar player, one of the modern acoustic players. I think it's David Brown Murray.
Yes,
David Brown Murray.
Yeah.
And he's one of those younger guys, and they treat the guitar like a kit of drums as well, you know. So they have... there was a guy there at the festival in Scotland. I'm just back from the Butte International Guitar Festival, and there's a guy there playing 2 guitars at the one time.
Really? Those guys are so talented and hateful.
Well, very talented, but I wouldn't like to sort of stay for a 2-hour concert, if you know what I mean. But it's really, I hadn't seen it live before. Mm-hmm. And these guys, like, I don't know, they must have taken drum lessons as well or something. But it was an experience too, you know.
Okay.
So that's the only thing we have at the minute on local is the Riverside. And there's nothing else in the area.
Okay, so that's Friday, Riverside Theatre in Coleraine. Go to that. And I've just got there's a band that I like very much called The Vals. I've got a copy of their single, and you're featured on that.
That's a nice track too.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, brilliant.
I think I'll play that now, if you don't mind, Henry. It's called Look to the One. And I look forward to seeing you, perhaps. And the world will be the path to the door of the Riverside Theatre this Friday. And good luck. I hope the gig goes well. And nice to talk to you again.
Thanks very much, Gerry. All the best.
Okay, Henry. See you later.
Good
Bye.
man.
Bye.
Bye.
This is The Vals featuring Henry McCullough on vocals and guitar.
All my life I've been waiting for peace on earth and forevermore. The constellations will set you free on distant moons where the mind can't see. Look to the one you love and it will be alright. Look to the one you love and it will be alright. If by chance your world starts to sway, helping hands are now on their way. Broken tears that once felt like rain drift away as you dream again. Look to the one you love and it
That's the Vals. That's a song called Look to the One. The Vals featuring vocals and the guitar playing by Henry McCullough. That's good. Sounds crisp. See, I said that before. It does, doesn't it? Adam writes to me and he said, Oh, Gerry, I'm writing this email in a maelstrom of guilt and shame, as indeed I live my life in a similar condition. Aided and abetted by a bottle of brandy and some hallucinogenic fungi. May I add, as it's been too long since we last spoke. The devil makes work for idle hands, and mine were far from idle. No, they moved quicker than the lightning mitts of Floyd Mayweather Jr. shooting crows in barley fields, cavorting in Oma nightclubs, driving around the highways and byways of Ulster looking at pedigree bulls and such wondrous scenic ideals as Garva, Fintona, 6 Mile Bridge, and, of course, that other, Tunbridge. I have a confession to make, and to my shame I must slander my own. The successful conclusion to a Saturday night would naturally be geared toward, how's your father, is your mother still working? But maybe not. Well, many of us have had to apply the coup de grace at a house party after chucking out time, but the most pretentious behaviour imaginable is alive and well in, of all places, Oma. Oma, the town that gives Brian Call, Frankie McBride, Dominic Kerwin and RTG. In that town, unsuspecting women are being lured to parties on Saturday nights, but parties with a difference, for they are, and I hesitate before I mention this, hot tub parties. I believe the pale, freckled Ulster Scots epidermis, that skin to you, sported by us in mid-Tyrone, does not look well in the wee small hours, reddened by whiskey, and submerged in hot, bubbling water like an overdone Frankfurter. This is Tyrone, not Tennessee. It's like people walking around with water. People walking around Belfast with bottles of water in a day like today. What do you think they are, Death Valley? Who actually owns these hot tubs? I've not been to one and would only go under extreme duress. But your good self, you need to advise us all, should we end up at a hot tub party, what should we wear? I mean, I don't stick a pair of Speedos or Bermuda shorts in my pocket before I go out on a Saturday night. We need to know. What are these hot tubs? Are there hot tub parties? Is this a phase? Is it a fad? Are people on a Saturday night, if they don't get off their mark, are they going to hot tubs in the vague hope that they may sidle up to some semi-clad woman in a hot water tub? Hello, good morning. Sorry, I'm losing the head. Who is this? Hello? Why is nobody talking? I think there's somebody there. I hear footsteps.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Please hold the line.
I wonder how that is. Hello? How does that work, I wonder? Okay, we'll get back to that one, I think. No, it's not a rat running across a hot tin roof. You probably think this is Blondie. Well, you'd be only half right.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging about with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die. It's not unusual to go out at any time. But when I see you out and about, it's such a crime. If you should ever wanna be loved by anyone, it's not unusual, it happens every day. And it happens all the time. Why can't this crazy love be It's not unusual to be mad with anyone. It's not unusual to be sad with anyone. But if I ever find that you've changed at any time, it's not unusual to find that I'm in love with you. Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah, you're right. Odd Bedfellows, Blondie and Tom Jones, that's called The Tide. Gentleman writes to me, we had the cast from the George Best story, Dancing Shoes, in yesterday. A lot of people thought they were very good. And I thought they were very interesting. It's a great show. And go and see it because it's been touring about. And I think this is the last time you'll probably get an opportunity to see it outside Belfast. It's here in Derry, Stoke, Londonderry, until Saturday. And there's a matinee on Saturday and all that kind of stuff. So go along there. It's on every night this week. And a gentleman writes to me and he said, I liked the song you played yesterday. It was called Dance and Choose. No, it's not Dance and Choose. It's Dancing Shoes. Would you play it again? Yes, I'll play it again if you learn that it's not Dance and Choose. It's Dancing Shoes. How can you make a mistake like that? Easily, I know.
Dancing shoes, I'm gonna wear my dancing shoes. I'm gonna dance right up next to you in my dancing shoes.
Loving you, I've spent a long time loving you. Been cheating and lying just to be with you in my dancing shoes. Now I'm finding out what this dancing's all about. I'll take a step if you'll take two. I'm stepping out in my shoes tonight. I'll be down on the floor before the night is through in my dancing shoes. There's no denying I'm a prisoner to you. You hold the crown, but there's no winning with you in my dancing shoes. Holy Moses, what's going on? 'Cause I'm out of time with this song. My, oh my, just let me be.
On 92 to 95 FM,
and 1341 medium wave.
this is BBC Radio Ulster.
It's 11 o'clock and with the BBC News, good morning, this is Keith Burnside. Within the past hour, the police have confirmed they're reopening the investigation into the murder of Carrickfergus businessman Simon Tang 15 years ago. Mr Tang, who was 28, died after he was beaten and robbed as he left his Chinese takeaway in June 1996. The attack was carried out by two youths who stole the night's takings. No one has been charged with the murder. Following a review of the case, detectives say they've identified a number of new leads. Eileen Chan Hu from the Chinese Welfare Association says everyone who knew Simon is hopeful that justice may finally be done.
This happened over 15 years ago during a time when there was a spate of burglaries, aggravated burglaries amongst the Chinese community, resulting in this tragedy of Simon's murders. He had graduated recently at that time from Oxford in architecture, and he had been working in the catering industry just to fill in time to provide for his family.
The family of Castleberg teenager Arlene Arkinson say they're furious that a convicted child killer and rapist should be given the right to delay an inquest into her death. Yesterday, Robert Hart, who was acquitted of Arlene's murder, won High Court permission to seek a judicial review of the coroner's decision to hold an inquest. He's serving a life sentence for the rape and murder of teenager Hannah Williams in England. Arlene's sister Kathleen says the inquest must be allowed to go ahead.
I think it's horrible. Why should he get his challenge in court? Where's Arlene's human rights? There's no rights for Arlene. He was the last man with Arlene in that car. And if I was in a crash and I was the last person to survive, I'd have to get into a box and tell what happened. I think it's completely wrong.
The Office for National Statistics says government borrowing last month was the highest figure for August since records began in 1993. Net borrowing reached £15.9 billion, up just under £2 billion on the previous month. Sport now, here's Grant Cameron.
Tonga have claimed their first win of the Rugby World Cup, condemning Pool A rivals Japan to a third straight defeat, 31 points to 18. Fly half Ronan O'Gara says he will assess his Ireland future after the tournament, adding that weekend comments suggesting he would quit internationals were misinterpreted. Northern Ireland have dropped 11 places to 70th in the latest FIFA World Football rankings, following defeats by Estonia and Serbia in the Euro qualifiers. The Republic are up 2 places to 29th after draws with Slovakia and Russia, but England are down 4 to 8th despite back-to-back victories. And Linfield required extra time to beat Ballyclare last night to join 10 other Premiership clubs in the hat for this afternoon's third-round draw in the League Cup.
Now, with an improving weather picture, let's hear from Cecilia Daly.
Heavy rain and strong gusty southerly winds will gradually be replaced by brighter skies from the northwest this afternoon. Winds will continue to be brisk, but from a westerly direction. There'll be some fast-moving showers in between the sunshine, but it will overall be an improvement. Temperatures should reach 16 Celsius. Tonight, showers will continue near the north coast, otherwise largely dry and breezy.
BBC News.
BBC Radio Ulster. Travel news.
In County Tyrone, the Barony Road between Omagh and Cookstown is closed from Greencastle Road to Lochmallan Road until 11 o'clock tonight. And in Enniskillen, the A4 Dublin Road is closed from Tempo Road to Wickham Road until 7 a.m. tomorrow. Finally, because of the weather, the 5 to 1 P&O Express sailing from Larne to Cairnryan has been cancelled. Passengers will be accommodated on the 1:30 conventional sailing instead. Laura McDade reporting.
Travel news on BBC Radio Ulster.
On Talkback with Wendy Austin today, murdered for a few £100. The Chinese restaurant owner killed 15 years ago. His family and the police on why the case is being reopened. Economic meltdown, is it keeping you awake at night? Tell us on Talkback how you could help save the financial world. Chance to be a fine thing. We talked yesterday about bullying and the X Factor. Did you see Kerry on Sunday night? Her singing coach says producers should hang their heads in shame. We'll talk to her. And get your questions in about the future of the BBC here. Big report out on Radio Ulster and Radio Foyle. Could the cuts close us down? Get your calls in. For Rotha Johnson of the BBC Trust, she's on after 1. Join the debate on Talkback at 12.
Close the BBC down? What would I do? I'd have to work. Or maybe not.
Now little Lisa's only 9 years old. She's trying to figure out why the world is so cold. Why she's all alone and ain't never met her family. Mama's always gone and she never met her daddy. Part of her is missing and nobody will listen. Mama's on drugs, getting high up in the kitchen. Bringing home in at different hours of the night. Starting with some laughs, usually ending in a fight. Sneaking in a room when her mama's knocked out. Trying to have his way and little Lisa says ouch. She tries to resist but then all he does is beat her. Tries to tell her mom but her mama don't believe her. Lisa's stuck up in the world on her own. Forced to think that hell is a place called home. Nothing else to do but get some clothes and pack. She says she's about to run away and never come back. out pretty and nobody seems to like her. Alcoholic stepdad, always wanna strike her. Yells and abuses, leaves her with some bruises. Teachers ask questions, she's making up excuses. Bleeding on the inside, crying on the out. There's only one girl really knows what she's about. Her name is Little Stacy and they become friends. Promise that they'll always be tight till the end. Until one day Little Stacy gets shot. A drive-by bullet went straight up on the block. Now Nicole stuck up in the world on her own. Forced to think that hell is a place called home. Nothing else to do but get her clothes and pack. She says she's about to run away and never come back. So cold, so she pops X to get rid of all the pain. Plus she's having sex with a boy who's 16. Emotions run deep and she thinks she's in love. So there's no protection, he's using no glove. Never thinking about the consequences of her actions. Living for today and not tomorrow's satisfaction. The days go by and her family gets big. The father bails out, he ain't ready for a kid. Knowing her mama will blow it all out of proportion. Plus she lives poor, so no money for abortion. Erica is stuck up in the world on her own. Hell is a place called home. Nothing else to do but get her clothes and pack. She says she about to run away and never come back. Everything is gonna be okay. Open your eyes.
The other day I played a track from a Norwegian singer, and now the Scandinavian countries are complaining bitterly about the lack of singers from Sweden. So here we are.
To start, is it 1 for yes and 2 for no? Can't you give me your rules or a sign or so? Oh, I've been trying to figure out myself and you know that I can make it without your help. Oh, I thought I heard what you said. A part is missing, won't you tell me again? Hard, gentle, fast or slow, whatever, give me a clue or a sign or so. Oh, thoughts get stuck for too long inside my head, and you know I can make it by myself. No, I can't seem to make it your head. Can make it without your help. Is it 1 for 2 and no for yes? So give me a rule or a sign or so. understood. Boom, 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 boom. Please give me a sign or a clue so I know. I've been thinking and I've been puzzling my head, and you know I can't seem to make it without your help. Been trying so hard to know what's going on inside my head, so I would appreciate some help. I would appreciate some help, 'cause I've been thinking, been worrying and thinking. I feel so lost without you, without your help.
That's a young lady you probably haven't heard of, Cecilia Escarod. I don't know, that's called One for Yes. And before that was a mashup, of course. It was called Runaway Dixie, featuring Donkey Kong Country 2, which Hugo people would be familiar with, Forest Interlude, and Ludacris featuring Mary J. Blige, and that's Runaway Love. All heavy stuff. I'm happy to say that Tommy Fleming has popped in to see us on his way through. Tommy, hello.
Good morning, Gerry. It's great to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time, but it's great to see you. You're looking
no.
fit and healthy and well. And
Indeed, thank you very much indeed.
no, it's great to be, apart from the awful weather out there.
That's the first scarf I've seen this year.
I know. I'm big into scarves. I love scarves. They're always light ones. So
that means when you see a man coming in with a scarf on, that means the summer is over.
Well, it helps the throat as well. So
listen, Tommy, you're widely acknowledged amongst the professionals, amongst singers in the country, as having the best voice in this white man's world. And I know that. Come on.
Say that now. Anyway,
come on.
Yeah, okay.
From a technical point of view and all kinds, apparently you've got the greatest voice ever, and I wouldn't argue against that. But you actually, I was just looking at bits and pieces about yourself. It was actually Phil Coulter, actually.
Phil, actually, yes, the Gerry man.
1991
was my very first recording. Can you believe I'm 20 years this year doing what I'm doing, and we're celebrating 20 years.
Not a mark on you.
Oh, jeez, there's a few of them. There's a few scars. You mightn't see them from here, but we're celebrating 20 years. But I met Phil in '92, and that's when I was in '92. I was 21 in 1992.
Yeah.
And I went off to America with Phil, and at 21 years of age, I performed in Carnegie Hall twice. Not Radio City, the Philharmonic Hall in Boston. There's loads of them. And you have to remember, I was kind of working in pubs, clubs, and trying to.
And then suddenly you're in kind of like the likes of Carnegie Hall stuff.
And I've
like
gone
that.
from like 100 people battering glasses and shouting over me to all of a sudden there's 3,000 people in front of me. So I was thrown very much literally in at the deep end.
Phil used to talk to me about you. You know, every once in a while, he used to talk to me. Always used to tell me about you.
He's a great man, Phil. I owe an awful lot to Phil. I owe an awful lot to him. And even I was only talking to Phil actually about 8 days ago, because I was learning about tracks. He has some tracks that I wanted to use that we worked together on the 20th celebration album. He was laughing. He said, it couldn't be 20 years, and honestly, it is.
Phil's like myself. The years go past very quickly.
Yeah, the years go back very quickly on everyone. But I mean, the one thing which I like, Phil, and yourself, you're eternally useful.
Not a mark on me either.
No, not at all.
No, but it wasn't all good for you. I was just looking at you. You had a very bad accident.
I did. That's that's 14 years ago now.
What? You broke your neck?
I broke my neck. It's C1 and C2. I was a year out.
Well, what do you mean C1 and C2?
My C1.
Oh, vertebrae
my
thing.
vertebrae, yeah. I said that
and
like it just rolls off the tongue.
How'd you do that?
I was coming home from my parents' house in 26th of November 1997, and I basically fell asleep. 98, sorry. It's 14, yeah. And I fell asleep at the wheel and ploughed straight into a tree.
Jeez.
Not only did I break my neck, I dislocated my hip, broke my arm in 3 places, broke 5 ribs. Something else was done. There was a few.
But apart from that, you were fine.
Apart from that, I was great. And I got the worst part of that was actually the recovery. That was because I always felt, and it is mine. It was nobody else's fault but mine. And holding my hand on my heart, the reason I fell asleep was I was promoting an album, which was one of my, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd album. And I hadn't seen this friend of mine for a long time, and he was over from New York. So I was coming through which is a Ballina, which is kind of near to my parents.
Yeah.
And at the time, you could have 1 or 2 pints. You know, it wasn't like it is now. So I'll be honest. You know, I'm not.
No, I know what you mean.
I'm not condoning it by any means.
Go away, condone it. Go on.
But so I had probably 2 or 3 pints, and I drove home, which I shouldn't have done, but I did.
I know.
And it made me even more fatigued and tired and everything else. And I fell asleep. And I've all that year that I was in recuperation and wondering was everything going to be all right or what not. It was constantly my fault in my head, and that took a while to get away from. So nobody could help me, basically.
How long were you out?
I was out for about 18 months.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a tough time. I had to wear a cage on my head. You can probably see the scars, my bullet holes.
Yeah, there's a wee mark there. I said there's not a mark on you, but there are.
There's 2. Well, I have 6 all around my skull where they screwed the cage. It was called a Jerome Halo brace, which was screwed into, for the listeners to even try and imagine this, it was screwed into your head on the top with 4 bars that came down to your shoulders and then all the way down, and it was screwed into 2 places at your spine. And it all came all the way. So you were like R2-D2 from Star Wars. That's how you could walk. A good few years after the accident, I was kind of well over it, and we were in New York. It was 2001, and somebody asked me at Fitzpatrick's Hotel. Some resident asked me what were the scars on my forehead. Yeah, I thought that's a very personal question to ask. Yeah. So I just thought, right, you asked me a personal question, I'm going to really confuse you now. And I said, they're bullet holes.
All the troubles, you know. None of us escaped.
They actually believed me, and I said one went in here and came out the other, and I escaped.
You were talking earlier about the fact, you know, that people never used to really worry too much about having a wee drink, you know, and it is true when you think about it. I was just sitting there thinking while you were saying that. I remember a long time ago, in the 70s, I used to go across the border and stuff and have a drink on a Saturday night, and you'd be coming back, and that time during the Troubles, of course, you'd be crossing the border.
You'd
be an army checkpoint.
Yeah, there'd be checkpoints, yeah.
Be an army checkpoint, and there'd be like half a dozen soldiers and about 3 policemen, right? And there'd be an incredible queue, right? And you'd be full, you know, and you'd be peeping the horn saying, "Come on, hurry up, hurry up!"
I haven't heard that in years. You'd be full.
You'd be sitting there, and you'd be on the horn. Watch it! Come on, hurry up, come on! At 2 o'clock
You'd be full and brave.
and you'd be getting out of the car. Come on, hurry up, lads! Come on! And it never occurred to you that, you know, you might be done. Anyway, never mind that.
But it's funny, I know. I know exactly what you're saying. I did it myself. I would hold my hand up, but it's times have changed, Gerry. By God, times
certainly
have
have.
changed.
You can do it. Sure, you can't even have a pint now and go on a tractor.
No, you can't. You can't even have a pint now and go. I'll tell you a funnier one. I was actually almost arrested in Jersey for being in charge of a bicycle and being inebriated.
Being in charge of a bicycle? With drink taken?
There was, yeah. It's a long story.
You must have wobbled.
Yeah, I did a few times. There was 4 of us anyway.
Hey, listen, you've got an interesting album out now. It's recorded with the Irish Concert Orchestra and RTE, is it? Or
RTE is.
Yeah.
RTE. We did it through RTE. It was a project that I was approached by years ago, and I thought, no, I'm not ready for it. And I finally, everyone assumes I grew up on music of, and I do. I love singing traditional music. I love singing folk songs, because some contemporary songs, obviously written by Jimmy McCarthy and all the great writers.
Yeah.
And I decided to go back and do an album, which really was for my parents more than anybody else, because this is the music that I was really reared on.
That's the stuff that they liked.
That this is all I ever heard as a kid, like, you know, Neil Sedaka, Frank Sinatra, Barbra Streisand, Bob Dylan, Softly As I Leave You. What's that guy? Matt Monro. All of those, that's what they listened to my vivid memory was my grandparents in the sitting room and my parents with this old red record player, and one record went on after the other. And that album, I just wanted to do it because I wanted my parents to enjoy it for many years. I didn't want the album to be in memory of, I wanted it to be a dedication to and a thank you.
And this is going back, this track. Tell me about this one.
The only memory I have of going back is my mother always playing this.
Is that Dusty Springfield?
Dusty Springfield. In the kitchen with an old tape recorder.
Oh, let's have a listen to it.
And it's just, I love this song.
With the
Irish Concert
Orchestra. And that's not it. You see, let me just explain, Tommy. This is not like an ordinary program. You see, what happens is, you know, people who know what they're doing are on the controls. Right? We'll try that again. We'll try that again, just for the benefit.
I was like, you didn't record that.
I think I'm going back to the things I learned so well in my youth. I think I'm returning to those days when I was young enough to know the truth. Now there are no games to only pass the time. No more coloring books, no Christmas bells to chime. But thinking young and growing older is no sin. And I can play the game of life to win. I can recall the time when I wasn't ashamed to reach out to a friend. Now I think I've got a lot more than a comic book to lend. Now there's more to do than watch my sailboat glide, and every day can be my magic carpet ride, and I can play hide and seek with my fears, and live my days instead of counting my years. Let everyone debate the true reality. I'd rather see the world the way it used to be. A little bit of freedom is all we lack. So catch me if you can. I'm going back.
That's really nice, that. You can tell why, people think so highly of you as a singer. Now, I'm just thinking there, if they had caught you as a young man, you could have been in the old opera. Did you ever consider that? You've got that quality of voice.
Thank you. Somebody actually approached me years ago in London to train properly in bel canto or whatever the word was. I can't.
Too late, was it?
It was too late. I just didn't want to change what I had. I enjoy I've got a capability, I suppose, without trying to sound, I don't know.
Well, you've got a voice. You've got a really, really good voice.
Thank you. And I'd like to be able to cross over into different genres and areas of music without having to be.
Yeah.
Because I've often heard singers that are really trained, tenors, and they try to do a crossover, and in my ear it doesn't work at all.
What about musicals? What about like Peter Corey?
Yes,
like
that's a different voice completely.
Completely. But people might think that's the same thing, but it's actually not.
It's not. No, I would regard Peter as a better singer than I am in many ways.
Well, that's generous of you.
Yeah, no, honestly, I would. I've seen Peter play, and I've seen Peter sing in many concerts, and he's so able to cross over. It's wonderful to watch. Andrea Bocelli is much the same way. His crossover is amazing.
I saw Andrea Bocelli in concert.
Yeah, I worked with them actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I worked with them on the last World Cup. When I worked on the
what did
the
you
anthem.
do?
I was the Irish representative of the singers for the Irish We Are the World in Union. So there was Andrea Bocelli, Catherine Jenkins, Terry Catanoa. Yeah, there was loads of them. There was about 50 of us, If you play it, you'll hear me about 2 seconds somewhere behind the wall.
That'll be in for 2 seconds and not be there at all.
Exactly.
Well, listen, Tommy, I never asked you what you're doing up here. You're obviously doing some kind of gigs up here.
What I always do, and I haven't done it in a long time. As much as I love doing the big shows, which is the orchestra and everything else, I really love doing them. But I even more love doing the more intimate shows, which is where there's only 2 and 3 musicians. I sit on a stool for a lot of it, tell a few stories.
Yeah.
There's no set list. There's no boundaries.
You can do whatever you like.
And I can do basically, but it's usually up to the audience. So I just shout it out to the audience and say, okay, what do you want to hear? So we're doing that actually in the...
Go home!
Yeah, we're doing that actually in the Angrianon on the 8th of October.
The Anne Green on the 8th of October. That's, of course, in Letterkenny.
In Letterkenny, yeah.
Great theatre.
I haven't played it in a long time. And then, of course, I'm back to one of my favourite venues, where I was only there actually last Friday at the 10th anniversary was the Millennium Forum.
Yes.
With the Irish Concert Orchestra for the full enchilada. That's very controlled. There's nobody. People can shout out how they like, but I can't change from what
they can shout till their faces red.
But I turn around to the conductor and say, no, we're not doing that. We're doing something else.
And when is that Millennium Forum?
That's on the 4th of February.
Well, that's next year. Yeah.
That's next year.
Okay, so it's Anne Greenan in Letterkenny on the 8th of October coming up.
Absolutely.
Tommy, really nice to see you again.
Listen, thanks a million for having me at such short notice. When I was passing by and I rang you, and I was just delighted to come in. Thanks a million.
Good to have a bit of quality.
Thank you. It's good to talk to quality.
Indeed, quality complements quality.
Thank you very much.
How great we are. Now, this is from your album as well. That same.
This is an unusual choice.
Yeah, what is it?
This is written by Paul Simon. I did not want to record this, even though my parents my mum actually picked this to a degree, and David Hayes, who has worked with me for 19 years now, who has been my producer, musical director on stage, and basically David's like a brother to me, really, more than anything. So we found a verse that's in this song that's not written. I couldn't find it anywhere else, and it was written subsequent to the breakup of Simon and Garfunkel.
An extra verse,
yeah, and it makes now the whole thing makes sense.
Ah,
so when you hear it, and I thought, how the hell? It's the name of the song is The Boxer.
Yeah,
and I thought my image and my hearing of the Boxer was every time you go into a pub and there was a session, it was lie la lie, lie la lie, and everyone was shouting it out, and there was the line that followed lie la lie, and all of that. And I thought, oh God, I think that's a bit too cliche to do. So how do we change it around? And David said, there's an orchestra, it's going to change it. So we put loads of brass into it.
Oh, I look forward to hearing that. I always think of The Boxer. I remember one time, a long time ago, I used to live in Dublin, I used to play in old bands and stuff, and a friend of mine was writing songs with a very young a singer called Phil Lynott.
Oh my God!
And he came. I went to this kind of party one time, and he was there, and Phil was there, and Phil. Nobody knew who Phil was, of course, just a guy, writing songs, played the acoustic guitar, and the fellow Eddie, his name was. He said, Phil, you should sing us that. Have you any new songs for us? He said, yeah, I've got something here. Yeah. So he sang this song, you see, and we were sitting there listening to it, and he said, what do you think of that? And Eddie said, it's great, except there's only one thing wrong with it. He says, what? He said, it's The Boxer. And he said, Jesus, back to the drawing board.
Brilliant.
Back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board. So back to the drawing board.
I am just a poor boy, though my story's seldom told. I have squandered my resistance for a pocket full of mumbles. Such are promises. All lies and jest, still the man hears what he wants to hear and disregards the rest. Places only they would know. Lie, 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 lie. Asking only workmen's wages, I come looking for a job, but I get no offers. Just to come on from the whores on 7th Avenue. I do declare, there were times when I was so lonesome, I took some comfort there. La 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 la. Now the years are rolling by me, they are rocking even me. I am older than I once was, and younger than I'll be. That's not unusual. It isn't strange change after changes upon changes, we are more or less the same. After changes, we are more or less the same. Lie, 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 lie. Now I'm laying out my winter clothes and wishing I was long going home, where the New York City winters aren't bleeding me going home. In the clearing stands a boxer and a fighter by his trade, and he carries a reminder of every glove that laid him down or cut him, till he cried out in his anger and his shame, I am leaving, but the fighter still remains. I am leaving, but the fighter still remains. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, lie, lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie,
That's Tommy Fleming. That's a song called The Box, of course. Tommy and some musicians are going to come in and do a bit of a session for us in the new year. Look forward to that. What a great voice. Gentleman writes to me who's not entirely sane. Great show yesterday, kid. Tommy, my cat, threw a handful of gravel on the table and yelled, "I wish to make a statement to the house." "Resign!" yelled Henry the Hoover from his perch in the corner. "Order!" I roared. "Order! Order in the house!" "I have been offered and accepted," yelled Tommy, "the post of gopher in Dana's campaign to be the next president of Ireland if all the other people from Derry don't get it." "Too little, too late," chirped Roger the budgie. I leaped to my feet and roared, "Would the right honourable cat tell the house on what platform the darling Dana will stand on?" "Order, order," I yelled, as Henry and Roger began to boo, hiss, yes, and cat call. "They don't want to hear it," yelled Tommy. "Both honourable members have little or no regard for free speech." "Resign," yelled Henry the Hoover. "Sling your hook," chirped Roger. "In answer to all the right honourable ratbag's question," yelled Tommy, "the delightful Dana's policies are family values, the preservation of the wild mountain hare, and sturdy, sensible flat shoes for all women who aren't married." I leaped to my feet and roared, "Where does Dana stand on all kinds of everything?" "She's against it," said Tommy. "Dana feels that all kinds of everything is a charter for low-lives, scumbags, hamster lovers, and people over 85 living in sheltered accommodation. On the day Dana is elected, she'll provide every townland in Ireland with its own Kitty the Hare. Soon, scuttling women dressed in black with shawls over their heads will leap out from behind fairy trees on dark nights saying, 'Ah, McCushton, Mother McCree, Kathleen the Houlihan, may the Lord be with you and me in hell,' half an hour before the devil knows you're dead." The house broke up then for cucumber sandwiches and a spot of grouse shooting. Tommy sidled up to me and whispered, He will be back on Monday. Coil the agitator, the interrupter, the disruptor will be back on Black Monday. I had hoped," whispered Tommy. "I know. Yes, I too had hoped that the sailors from Somalia would have shanghaied the eyebrow by now. The word in the hood and on the grapevine," whispered Tommy, "is that the little sailors have gone." "Bummer," I yelled, as the division bell rang to separate the Right Honourable Catholics from the Right Honourable Protestants, and God bless them all. Oh, I'm enjoying myself today. Here's a song I play whenever I feel down, whenever I feel that Jesus has given me a bad time. I always play this. Lady Smith, Mac Mombazo. People get ready. Featuring the best singer in the whole world, Phoebe Snow. Listen to some of the notes she hits. Just lie back and listen to this. Or sorry, sit back. Many aren't lying.
People get ready. There's a train a-coming. You don't just thank the Lord. People get ready, there's a train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board them. Pass home for home among the lost. People get ready. 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 There ain't no room for the hopeless sinner who would hurt all mankind just to save his own. Have pity on those whose choices grow thinner, 'cause there's no hiding place from the kingdom's throne. People get ready. People get ready. Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready. People get ready. There's a train a-coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesels humming. Don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People got ready. People get yourself ready. Can you get ready? Can you get ready? Oh, yeah. People get ready. People get ready. I'm so ready. People get ready. No, I'm ready. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'm sanctified. Hallelujah. I feel so good in the midnight hour. I can feel your power. Hallelujah. Glory.
Oh, it's Phoebe Snow, one of the best singers in the world. That's Lady Smith Black Mambazo, and I can't say that. I'll try it again. Lady Smith Black Mambazo, a song called People Get Ready. That's so good it would almost lure you into church, but then you wise up. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Jeff.
Geordie, I was just thinking about you. A man has sent me
What are you thinking about me?
Yes. Yes, I was. A man sent me a poem about. Do you remember the time that you burnt the telegraph pole?
Aye.
And you burnt your house down almost.
I
The fire
did.
brigade came.
I almost burned it.
See, what Geordie did, and you stop me if I get this wrong, you decided to put a little kindling on the fire, and you had a telegraph pole outside, so you brought it in and you put it in the fire, and the theory being that it would burn, and the more it would burn, you just kind of push it in. But you didn't realise that the flame would spread along there.
That's right.
And thereby setting fire to your entire home. And
They
the fire
didn't
brigade came and did the work that they do so well.
Oh, they treated me extra well.
I know, and this gentleman is thinking. His name is John McMenamin, and he was thinking about this. So he's written a poem called called "The Night Geordie Set the House on Fire." I'll read it later, and you can sit back and relax and listen to it.
But a bit of news for you.
What's that?
There's 1,003 now, and I've only started my campaign.
Yeah, you're not going to run for the presidency of Ireland, are you?
I'm going to go for President of Ireland.
I think you should think twice about this.
What?
You have so many skeletons in the cupboard that you can hardly close the door. You may.
Hey, not as many as you have.
What will happen? What will happen if the people start to quiz you about your past? Eh?
Well,
you
sure,
things...
as I say, as water under the bridge.
See, everybody else is going for it. The half of Derry's going in for it, because the brew is emptied. They're all down. The box number 6 is hardly anybody on it. They're all down below campaigning. It seems to be open house. I mean, it's a lovely house. I mean, I was down there. Have you ever been in the place down there? Have you ever been in that? The house in Arson. What is it? Arson Uachtaráin. Have you ever been there?
No.
I was invited there once as a prominent broadcaster.
I was at Ballinasloe last week.
At the horse fair?
Aye.
That's not the same thing as Arson Uachtaráin. I'm sure you know there's a difference.
And Whitey, the goat won the top prize.
The goat? Whitey. Your goat won the top prize at Ballinasloe Horse Fair? Whitey. Yes, I know. That's what it's called. And what was the prize?
We Rusty the hobo.
Yes?
He come second in the terrier race.
I'm sure he was disappointed.
No, he wasn't too bad.
He's already took it like a man.
He did. Wee Rusty's a hobo, like.
Now, explain to the people...
Did you ever tell a hobo?
No, I'm just going to ask you to explain to the people what a hobo is, apart from the fact that a hobo is a man who rides the rails. But in the animal kingdom, what's a hobo?
Well, he wanders all over.
Oh, you mean, you're talking about his behaviour. He's... what is the word? Well, I can't remember what the word is. He travels everywhere.
Everywhere, but he always comes home at night.
Well, you see, that's not a hobo. That's what's called a person who's restless. A hobo is a person who doesn't come home at night at all. Peripatetic. What's that word? Is it peripatetic? What's that word that you travel around all the time? I'm peripatetic.
I must say, Gerry, you are looking well.
Thank you very much. I'm looking after myself. After all, I've had a long holiday.
I'm glad you got your wee hair transplant.
I haven't got it. No, I haven't got it. No, I'll tell you. I'm glad you brought that up. Now, next Wednesday is going to be a little kind of a special day. I'm going to ask people to do something. What it is I'm doing this hour-long BBC television documentary about hair transplants, because I've been talking about this before. And I want people to ring me up next Wednesday and tell me, if they've had any experience, or if they're bald, or if they're concerned about it, or any experiences they've had going to quacks, and anything at all to do with that subject. I want them to ring me next Wednesday, not today, not tomorrow, but next Wednesday, because we're going to have a special day on that. And we're going to investigate. We're going to America. We're going to all kinds of places, and we're going to look at people, and we're going to look at the best people who do that kind of hair transplant. And there's a possibility that a man might say to me, "Listen, do you fancy a wee bit of that yourself, son?" And I might say yes. I might get the old skylight closed. Do you know the old skylight at the back, Geordie?
What?
Sorry. I know this is exciting.
What?
I know. I was talking there for a while. I can't remember, but you've got a good head of hair, haven't you?
I have a good head of that.
You see, I'm all right, but I've got a bit of a...
I'm grey, it's grey all over, and my beard's grey too.
Doesn't matter. Is your beard right? Okay, it doesn't matter if your hair is grey or not. There's men out there would kill for a mop of grey hair.
You're quite right.
I've got a wee hole in mine.
I know, you're like baldy at the back.
Yes, I wouldn't put it that way.
What?
Baldy at the back. I would just say, let's say I'm a little sparse around the rear.
You've a wee lock of hair short.
Right, listen, Geordie, hold on a second. There's someone on the other line wants to ask you a question, and I think it's important that we involve these people. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Gerry.
Who's this, I wonder?
Raymond from Korean.
Raymond, you're through to Geordie. You may converse with him if you wish, but I have to warn you, he may not be entirely, logical. Go ahead.
Good morning, Geordie.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh,
Geordie,
the best.
Don't ask him that.
I'm having a lot of problem with slugs.
With slugs?
Yes, all over my
Just
driveway and that type of thing.
Just empty the gun.
No.
All over the driveway. No, I'm sorry. No, take this seriously. Geordie, slugs all over the driveway.
Well,
hello?
get yourself a tin of beer, right?
That's the old thing. And put it down and they'll all go into it.
They will.
They will.
And they'll curl up on the bed.
Right, they only appear at night about maybe 10 or 11
That's
o'clock.
right. Don't worry,
Would you not? No, hold on a second, Geordie. I know about this. Now, you get maybe a pint of beer.
Yes.
Would you not bury it kind of up to the level of the top of it?
No.
Would they crawl up the side of it?
You have to leave an open hole.
I know, but I mean an open hole. But you mean, do you want them to climb up the side of the glass?
They leave a terrible mess all over the place.
They do.
Well, he says to get yourself a pint of beer and leave it out at night, and they'll climb up and they'll fall in, will they?
They will. Surely.
It seems a Sunday waste of pint of beer.
No, you can always drink. You can throw the slugs out and then drink it then. It's not wasted.
But slugs is good to eat, you know.
Stop it.
All right, okay. I'd rather not. No, I'd rather drink the pint of beer. But do you think a pint of beer would be the cure?
No, I've heard this before.
Yes.
I heard a story about a man. There was a man now. There was a lady was on this program, and she said that what she did was she put a pint of beer out in the garden, right? And she woke up in the middle of the night. She heard this sound, and it was two men with fish supper asking for more. Sorry.
Well, Gerry.
You think that's the cure then, Geordie?
Yes, that is definitely the cure.
Try that and come back to us. If it doesn't work, we'll try some alternative.
And Gerry, before...
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Gerry,
Bye.
before
Yes.
we go...
Yes.
If anyone has or catches any rats...
Rats, yes.
Or mice...
Or mice, yes.
Would they bring them to me?
What do you want with them?
Well, we Rusty the hobo.
Does he eat them?
He's killed all around here.
Okay then. Okay,
so I'm looking rats.
All right, on that pleasant note, we need rats and mice for Geordie. Right, thank you.
Bye, Gerry.
Goodbye. The night old Geordie set the house on fire. It was cold, it was freezing, all the cats and dogs were sneezing. Geordie staggered in like dangerous Dan McGrew. He was foundered as a goat who had lost its shaggy coat, and his bobbies were shriveled up in blue. What he needed now was fire, before he did expire, so he lit some kindling with a shaking match. Geordie let a bull-like roar as he staggered out the door and hauled in a pole made of ash. Old Geordie moved the hoover so he could make a deft manoeuvre and rammed the pole tight into the fire. Geordie poured a glass of bush and whistled like a thrush, and soon the flames were leaping higher and higher. But a man who's on the booze is not adverse to a little snooze, and soon Geordie went out like a light. An inferno then ensued, which melted Geordie's shoes, and he woke up with the most almighty fright. Geordie woke with a yell like a black imp down in hell. He jumped the half-door like a young gazelle. As he lay there on the grass, on his confused and drunken ass, he heard sirens and a clanging of the bell. It was the firemen on a shout. Someone shouted, "Geordie's out!" And then they ran with hoses in their hand, and they cursed the drunken hash who had burned a tree of ash. Old Geordie cried, "Don't worry, boys, I'm grand." Geordie muttered tutti frutti as he lay there like sooty. The firebug was showing no remorse. The fire chief gave him a riser, advised him to stick to Tizer, and the countryman went rolling through the gorse. It took 2 nurses half the night to scrub Geordie back to white, and gallons of Jay's fluid to clean his house. 2 dotes from Mallinhead dunged out Geordie's bed and laid him down as quietly as a mouse. Old Geordie's on his feet and merry, sipping at a pre-dawn cooking sherry, with an hospital name tag dangling from his wrist. Now he swears by all the stars and old Maggie's red flannel drawers he'll never again light a fire when he's had drink taken.
It's a black
shore. She smiled at me on the subway. She was with another man. But I won't sleep all night, 'cause I've got a plan. Sleight of hand and twist of fate. On a bed of nails, she makes me wait. And I wait without you. With or without you. With or without you. With or without you.
Before we go, here's an acknowledgement and appreciation of my broadcasting skills. Hi, Gerry. Do the BBC really pay you a salary to present this kind of crap? Please stop.
Tonight, 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 I wanna be with you tonight, 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 I wanna be with you tonight, 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 I wanna be with you tonight, 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 I wanna be with you tonight. So what if you catch me? Where would you land? Somebody's life for the taking, his hands. Sing to me hope as she stole on the stand. All of my work is rated again.
That's a symphony. That's everybody, Black Eyed Peas, everybody, Maroon 5, everybody. Back tomorrow. Goodbye.